All right, let's talk about the world of business. It feels like the rule book is constantly being rewritten, right? New regulations are popping up all the time, and they're completely changing how companies have to operate, how they report, and even how they innovate. So today, we're going to dive into how you can actually navigate this super complex world and maybe, just maybe, turn compliance from a total headache into a real strategic advantage.
And that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? Are all these new rules just roadblocks designed to slow you down? Or could they actually be our roadmap to building a stronger, more trusted company? That's the navigator's dilemma we're going to try and solve.
Okay, let's get into it. To even start to solve this dilemma, we first have to get our heads around this huge shift that's happening. The simple fact is, the rules of the game are changing for everyone. Now, what's really fascinating is how you can look at regulation as a two-sided coin. On one side, you've got the burden. You know what I'm talking about. The costs, the endless reporting, all the operational hoops you have to jump through. It's real, and man, it can be heavy. But if you flip that coin over, there's a genuine opportunity staring you in the face. It's a chance to innovate, to adapt, and to build some serious trust with your customers. And this kind of shows you how it all connects like a chain reaction. It starts with those compliance costs. Yep, the initial investment. But that forces you into increased transparency. You have to show your work. Well, that pressure to be transparent often sparks innovation as companies find smarter, better ways to do things. And the final result, the big prize, way more consumer trust. So if that's the big picture, how in the world do you actually get through it? Let's talk about the challenges, because for a lot of businesses, this whole roadmap can feel a lot more like a maze. And that's a fair question, right? What is it that makes this whole compliance thing so incredibly tricky to get right? Well, it turns out it's a bunch of different factors, all tangled up together. From what we've seen, it boils down to 5 huge challenges. First up, the sheer complexity. I mean, some of these rule books are hundreds and hundreds of pages long. Then, of course, there's the cost. And that's not just money. It's a huge drain on your people's time. Third, the rules are always changing, so just keeping up feels like a full-time job. Fourth, think about data management in a world with super strict privacy laws. And finally, hanging over everything is the massive, massive risk of non-compliance. And let's be absolutely crystal clear about what that risk really means. This quote just nails it. We are not talking about a little slap on the wrist here. We're talking about huge fines, getting dragged into court, and doing the kind of damage to your company's reputation that can take years to fix, if you can fix it at all. The stakes are just incredibly high. Okay, that was the scary part. I get it. But it absolutely does not have to be that way. So let's shift gears from the problems to the solutions. It's time to pull out the map and actually chart a course. This is your strategic roadmap. The path forward really involves 5 clear, doable steps. First, you've got to stay informed. You have to know what's coming down the pipeline. Second, you have to actually invest in compliance, which means getting the right people and the right tech. Third, you got to train your employees, because compliance is a team sport. Everyone has to be on board. Fourth, you must enhance your cybersecurity to protect all that data you're now managing so carefully. And finally, you really need to start to adopt sustainability practices, because that is a huge, huge area for new regulations. So here's the crucial point. All of those steps, they all feed into one incredibly powerful strategy: proactive compliance. This is the difference between seeing a storm on the horizon and getting ready for it versus being caught in a downpour with no umbrella. It's all about anticipating change, not just reacting after it happens. And that proactive mindset, that's what turns this whole thing from a burden into a real competitive advantage. Now, theory is great and all, but let's bring this down to earth. What do these challenges and strategies actually look like in the real world for different kinds of companies?
This table gives us a perfect snapshot. If you're a tech company in Europe, you are living and breathing GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, and its data privacy rules. If you're in finance in the US, it's all about the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, or SOX, which demands super strict financial controls. And in US healthcare, HIPAA dictates exactly how you protect patient data. See? Every industry has its own unique maze to get through.
And this chart makes it really clear that not all compliance is created equal when it comes to cost. Building out the systems for data management can be incredibly resource-intensive. Same goes for all the detailed work that goes into financial reporting. Knowing where your biggest investments are going to be is absolutely key if you want to plan for this effectively. Okay, so we've navigated the maze, we've looked at the roadmap, and we've seen how this stuff plays out in the real world. Let's bring it all together and circle right back to our original question, because it's time to reframe this entire topic. It's time to go from burden to advantage.
Because here's the ultimate takeaway, the thing you really need to remember. Mastering compliance is not just a defensive move to avoid getting fined, it's an offensive strategy. It's how you build a business that is fundamentally stronger, more resilient, more innovative, and, most importantly, more trusted by the people who matter most, your customers.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought. The rules are always going to change. That's a given. The real question is, will your business just follow them, or will you let them lead you to something new, something better, to innovation? The choice, really, is yours.